Lions want to talk to Mike McDaniel. The problem is, so do a lot of other teams.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, let's do this, everybody. Another week of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on a Monday, January the 12th into Tuesday, January 13th. Thanks for making us your first listen. Thanks for checking us out everywhere that you get your podcast. That includes on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel, Locked On Lions for Today, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. A lot to get into certainly today on a Monday edition. Free agents, the Lions' own free agents. Who's the biggest need? Who needs to come back? Who's that top target that the Lions must retain? There are two writers that have done lists already that have listed the same guy at the top of their list. We'll tell you about that coming up momentarily on the program. All pro teams are out. Lions had 4 players make the first or second team. We'll tell you about that. Benedict is at it again. My goodness, did you see the routine and the act and the show and the clown show that former Lions offensive coordinator and Bears head coach Ben Johnson put on this weekend? My God, what a win for the Bears. Touchdown, touchdown Bears. What a win for the Bears over the Packers on Saturday night. Another gag job by Matt LaFleur. Yet, Benedict just acting a fool. But let's start with this. And by the way, tomorrow on the show, a very special guest. Oh, yeah. Speaking of Bears Packers, you know what's coming tomorrow. I'm not even going to have to say it. I'm not even going to have to say his name. We got to check in on our buddy tomorrow, and we'll do that on the program. I'll tease it like that. That was a Karshian tease, as we said in the radio business. But let's begin with the news of the day, and that is that Mike McDaniel keeps getting interviews for head coaching jobs, yet Lions fans are hoping that the Leos can somehow grab him as their offensive coordinator. Former Dolphins head coach reportedly will meet with the Lions this week, but according to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, the Ravens, Titans, Browns, and Falcons all will interview McDaniel this week as well. Now, let me also say this before we talk about Mike McDaniel, which is the biggest topic. Can I just say something? Please stop. And I know we get some everydayers that hit me up on the Discord. Some of you tweeting at me at Dery Speaks or all over social media. The Detroit Lions are not getting Matt LaFleur. Can we stop with that? Oh, Matt LaFleur could be the Lions OC. No, Matt LaFleur is going to be a head coach. All right. It might not be in Green Bay. Packers might go in a different direction. The Packers might end up with John Harbaugh. There is a connection there through the old president of the team and his son is Harbaugh's agent, all these things. But the folks that are thinking that there's some way that Matt LaFleur is going to be the Lions OC, I just don't think that's even a discussion. Of course, anybody would want him as their OC. He'd be fantastic. But right now, he's the coach of the Packers. Yes, he coached a lousy second half on Saturday night. But if Matt LaFleur is going anywhere, it's Atlanta. He was the quarterback's coach for 2 years under Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Ryan is now the new director of football ops, president of football for the Falcons. And you know, Matt Ryan's not just going to want to put some lousy, used up old couch in his new house. He's going to want to swing for the fences and hire somebody he knows. And that guy is Matt LaFleur. The question is, will new Packers team president Ed Policy, with 1 year remaining on LaFleur's deal, not be able to work out an extension with him? And if LaFleur is looking for $15 million a year, I mean, the last few Packer exits in the playoffs have been ugly. I mean, Saturday night was atrocious. Up 21-3 at the half. Should have been 24-3. And to just gag that game away. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think there's any chance that the Lions get him for their offensive coordinator spot. Now, we know this. The Lions have reportedly targeted 3 guys so far to talk to. They interviewed David Blau. They reportedly talked to Jake Peetz, the Seattle Seahawks passing game coordinator. And McDaniel is somebody that they want to talk to this week, according to reports. And here's the thing, and this has been bandied about everywhere, and we talked about it a little bit on Friday. I want the Lions to, talk to everybody. I want this to be very, very thorough. I want Detroit to interview 6, 7, 8 guys. Yeah, I said 6, 7. I want it to be multiple interviews. I want them to find the best candidate and wade through all of it. And I said Friday, in case you missed it, that there's a chance that maybe you're not going to hit a home run and you're only going to get a young guy that you can develop, because the Lions haven't 100% stamped that Dan Campbell's not calling the plays. So if Dan Campbell calls up, let's say, his old buddy Brian Daboll, former Giants head coach, who's now unemployed, and says, Brian, I'd love for you to come to Detroit. Daboll, number one, is going to want some cash. And number two, he's going to want to call plays. He was the head coach with the Giants calling plays. Brian Daboll is not coming here to be the OC, but only in name. Yet on Sundays, the head coach is calling the plays. Same would go for Mike Kafka. Same would go for Cliff Kingsbury, any of these guys that are out there. And Kingsbury interviewed for the Ravens head coaching job today. That's the former Commanders OC. I like Kafka. I think he had an unbelievable game plan against the Lions, was super creative in that game, and I think he should get an interview too. But McDaniel is definitely intriguing. He had nothing but great things to say about the Lions and Dan Campbell and the roster when he was in town in August with his Dolphins for the joint practices. He's very creative, very analytical, kind of quirky, but loves the run game and utilizes his backs as well as anybody. I didn't love how disorganized his team was the last couple of years. He's definitely a different bird and everything else. But Mike McDaniel certainly would be a guy that they should interview. He's not my first choice, but he's somebody that obviously would be a nice fit and has head coaching experience, has experience running an offense, was with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco and other places. He was with Kyle Shanahan in Washington. He was with Kyle Shanahan in Cleveland. But he's getting head coaching interviews. And there's a lot of openings right now. Like I said, Cleveland, Atlanta, Tennessee, and Baltimore all want to talk to him. So this may take longer than they would like. And look, I said this the other day, or maybe last week too. Another guy that nobody's really talking about is Antoine Randel, the assistant head coach and receivers coach with the Bears, former Lions assistant. I know the Lions have been playing buddy ball the last few times, and they've hired a lot of Campbell buddies and friends and everything else, and people that were aligned with the franchise before, like John Morton. But stealing away Antoine Randel from the Bears would not bother me in the least. But I just want them to talk to anybody and everybody. Todd Monken, talk to him, former Ravens OC. Daboll, Kafka, do it. Talk to them all. See who's out there. Have these conversations. Find the right fit for this offense, because this offense can take off again. It was not good enough this year. A lot of it was due to occasionally some play calling. Offensive line needs to be upgraded. We can talk about that till we're blue in the face. Mike McDaniel, I wouldn't love. There's something, I don't know. I'm not fully in on him, but I wouldn't complain about it. So, but you have 4 teams wanting to interview him for their head coaching jobs. Somebody thinks he's decent, right? I remember there were times when the Lions would let go of a coordinator, the Lions would let go of a head coach, and it was a death trap. It was a death knell for them. Once you were with the Lions, you were done. Never got another chance. Bobby Ross wasn't a head coach again after he left. Neither was Wayne Fontes. Neither was Marty Morningwig. Neither has been Jim Schwartz. Neither has been Jim Caldwell. Neither was Steve Mariucci. All right, coming up next, we got to discuss free agents. The Lions own free agents. There's 29 of them. all pro stuff as well, right here on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions of for today, brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. So much fun to play Prize Picks, whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time. Trying something new can feel like a challenge, but with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite basketball action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. It's the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections, their stats, no drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks, it's quick and simple. The app is super easy to navigate, and the new early payouts feature is a game changer. If a player starts out hot, you can cash out before the game ends. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And Locked On Lions also brought to you today by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps traded involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. All right, welcome back. Matt Dery with you. It is a Monday edition of a Locked On Lions. We thank you for making Locked On Lions your first listen of the day, and thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You see it for those of you watching on YouTube up on the screen. Yes, time to tell you about our Everydayer Club. You got to join. All right, you get access to an ad-free audio feed of our show, Locked On Lions, compatible with Apple and Spotify and every other major podcast app. And you're invited to be in our members-only Locked On Lions Discord everyday server, which means a group chat for our everydayers in the club, just for listeners of this show. Chatting up some folks over the weekend, just about all of the games. Go to lockedonlions.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Matt Dery with you. It is a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Free agents. The Lions have 29 guys, their own 29 guys whose contracts are up for this coming season. All right, and Justin Rogers from Detroit Football Network, and I believe this was Eric Schlitt. Yes, Eric Schlitt from prideofdetroit.com. Both great sources of Lions news and stuff. Check those guys out. Both of them put out lists of the players that the Lions have that are not under contract starting next year, and who are the top priority guys. And both Justin and Eric from POD both said that the Lions must re-sign, and they ranked them both number one. Him would be edge rusher Al-Quadin Muhammad. And I kind of agree. I don't really disagree when you're talking about some of the guys that the Lions you'd hope would bring back. All right. There's some complementary pieces that have to come back. A guy like Avonte Maddox is needed for depth in the secondary, especially at safety, with question marks about whether Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph will be ready to start the season. All right. Amik Robertson is a really good player. He's only 27. You can never have enough cornerbacks. He's a tone setter. He's great in the locker room. He's tough. He's gritty. All right. You want to have a guy like Amik Robertson back. Rocky Yassin, again, cornerback, played well. You want to keep good players. Roy Lopez had a good year. But what's interesting is seeing that both Justin and Eric both rated AQM, Al-Quadin Muhammad, as the top priority, bringing him back. And again, all we've talked about and all we've complained about whether it's this show or Lions fans or whatever, or your everydayers, people on the internet, they complain about the edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that Al-Quadin Muhammad is a stud. And I also understand that if he's looking for a multi-year deal and for a lot of money at age 30, the Lions might feel like, not going to do that. But 11 sacks, right? Able to get to the quarterback, had some big games, had some multi-sack games. And the biggest issue with him is guarding the run. The Lions do not trust him to be out there on a lot of first down situations. He is mostly a 2-down player, occasionally 1 down, playing on 3rd downs in obvious passing situations. As Eric pointed out in Pride of Detroit, and so did Justin in Detroit Football Network, he only saw the field on 40% of the Lions' defensive snaps, 3rd lowest snap count in his career. But yet, 11 sacks, bunch of pressures. I know he turns 31. And you want a guy like that back. Who else do the Lions have at edge rusher? I'll wait for your response. Aiden Hutchinson. We know that. Who else? Marcus Davenport, impending free agent. Al-Quadin Muhammad, impending free agent. Aleem McNeil played some edge rusher last year. He's not an edge rusher. Trevor Nowaski occasionally was out there. Derek Barnes was occasionally out there in that spot. The Lions need to get to the other team's quarterback. It was, again, a very inconsistent season when it came to pressure. Aiden Hutchinson had a big year. 2nd team All-Pro, which we will talk about in a second. Muhammad is a guy you got to bring back. It is a top priority. But he said on locker cleanout day, he's going to test the market. He wants to see what's out there. He wants to get what's fair. Lions, I think, re-signed 14 of their guys last year. They did a lot of keeping in-house and WBBT, as Mike Valenti would say, bringing the band back together. To me, because you're short in that spot, because you need edge rushers, and because Al-Quadin has grown his roots here and has finally found a home here, Brad Holmes found him off the street, basically, that's a guy you want to bring back. I'd love to see them bring back Amik Robertson. He talked after the season like he was gone. Alex Anzalone, I don't know. At 31, and with the depth the Lions do have at linebacker, and the way Jack Campbell played this year, and I know that has nothing to do with the other, but Campbell was manning the middle and had the green dot in his helmet. Not sure Anzalone returns. You can't bring everybody back from a defense that, quite honestly, at the end of the year really struggled. Roy Lopez is a guy I'd bring back too, for sure. And I love Khalif Raymond as a glue guy, but that's another guy that is, 31? Yeah, 31 years old. The Lions gave Jamison Williams a lot of money, and they want to give Isaac Tesla more time. All right, AP Associated Press All-Pro team came out over the weekend, and I thought the Lions were going to have 3 first-teamers and 1 second-teamer. That was my guess. And when it came out this weekend, I saw that the Lions indeed had 2 first-team players. Penei Sewell at right tackle and Jack Campbell at middle linebacker. And those 2 guys, honestly, were awesome this year. Penei Sewell is the best right tackle in the game. Deserves to be first-team All-Pro. And Jack Campbell had a monster year leading the Lions in tackles, and PFF graded him as a top 2 linebacker in the league. The other linebacker that was first-team was Jordan Brooks of the Dolphins. All right. As far as the first-team wide receivers, I'm like, where's Amon-Ra? Puka Nacua, not a surprise. And JSN from Seattle, not a surprise as well. Smith and Jigba had a big year. The 3rd wide receiver on the first team was Jamarr Chase. And for all of you Jamarr Chase fantasy owners out there, including yours truly, what? Now, I looked at Chase's final numbers. 125 catches, that's pretty good. 1,412 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he didn't have a terrible year by any stretch of the imagination. But it wasn't a Jamarr Chase-ian year. He did make the first team. Amon-Ra was on the second team at wideout along with George Pickens and Chris Olave from the Saints. Lions' other second teamer was Aiden Hutchinson, who was beaten out on the first team for edge rushers by Myles Garrett, Will Anderson, and Micah Parsons. St. Brown, by the way, I think should have been first team. Jamarr was 125 for 14-12 and 8 touchdowns. St. Brown, 117, so 8 less catches, 1401, 11 less yards, 11 touchdowns. And I'm sorry, Amon-Ra St. Brown was on a better team and on a winning team. And I know winning has nothing to do with it. They picked the best guys. But anyone else think St. Brown had a better year than Jamarr Chase? Because I do. And I get it. Jamarr put up better, had more catches, more yards. 8 more catches, 11 more yards. St. Brown had 3 more touchdowns and played on a winner. And I get Jamarr Chase had to play with Joe Flacco for part of the year, and the other backup that played against the Lions, whose name escapes me, who was horrible. I get all that. No Joe Burrow, still put up those numbers. But I think St. Brown deserved to be first team. I really do. So we can argue it, but I thought that was a minor snub. All right, coming up next, we got to get to it. Ben Johnson, just clowning it up this weekend. Congratulations, dude. You beat the Packers in the play. Big win, huge win, great second half. But my God, I mean, acting like a 12-year-old out there. All right, Locked On Lions for today. Proudly brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NFL wildcard round here and gone. Yes. And now we're getting to the divisional round. And FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, including this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets that you like the most. Just open up your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. You make your picks and apply your profit boost to go big after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So here's what I want you to do. Visit FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner in the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, we are back. It is a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Special guest coming up tomorrow as we break down and check in on the rest of the NFC North. You know him, you love him. Most of you hate him. We'll be on tomorrow. You know where I'm going. And we could have a really cool guest Thursday. I'm working on her, hopefully for Thursday. One of the best NFL reporters out there. Hopefully going to join us Thursday. We will see. All right, so Saturday night was interesting. I think a lot of you, including, were with me Saturday night. I was rooting against the Bears. I wanted the Bears out. O-U-T out. Done with the Bears. Done with good, better, best. Done with Ben Johnson and Benedict's jumping around and taking his shirt off and everything else. Well, Saturday night looked good. It looked good. Packers were up 21-3. Do. I mean, we were going. Rooting for my pack Saturday night. I felt dirty doing it, but I mean, Jordan Love was dealing. And the Bears, this is what the Bears have done all year. They get down, they get dug into a hole, and they dig themselves out. Caleb Williams starts making unbelievable throws. The Packers start getting conservative. That 4th and 10 throw where Caleb was thrown across his body, and there's 3 Packers defenders not even looking at the ball as it drops in there to Rome Odunze for the first down. Like, ridiculous. The double move, great call by Ben Johnson. And look, Benedict was coaching like a moron in the first half. He was at times pulling Dan Campbell moves with 4th down and going for it. Some bad play calls, everything else. But Bears come back, and the Bears, of course, win the football game. Didn't help that the Packers kept dropping the ball. So, of course, the cameras are on Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur because, again, Ben has it in for LaFleur. He made the comment at his opening press conference that he liked beating Matt LaFleur twice every year. And he was heating up the Packers-Bears rivalry, which is already a rivalry, but the Packers have kind of dominated for years. And I give Ben Johnson a lot of credit. He did the right thing when he got the job. He rallied the fan base. He rallied the media. Chicago media treats the Bears like the Detroit media cheerleads for the Tigers and Wings. Hey, Sergey's in town. I'm going to get my Sergey. Like media members lathering up for Sergey. And look, I like Sergey. I knew him a little bit when I covered him. But like, my gosh, the Illich teams, the Detroit media just adores. You got Sergey Fedorov. You finally, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I shouldn't be doing this. Sergey Fedorov's number should have been retired 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It's now being retired on a Monday. And hey, get in your seat by 5:30 on a Monday. Only the Tigers and Wings and their PR people. You're doing this on a Monday. Tell us you're not trying to get an extra gate and make some extra cash on a Monday night without telling us it's what you want to do. Yeah, seriously, if you have let's say you're a diehard Red Wing fan, and I get it. Be in your seat by 5:30 on a Monday. Anyway, I digress. Bears media, the media in Chicago is just loving this Bears thing. And Ben Johnson's done a great job. But after the game, he runs over, gives a woo, and like the quickest handshake and blow by in the history of blow by handshakes. Right up there with Scott Drew, shaking hands with Bill Self. Right up there with Rolly Massimino and Perry Watson when I called UDM games. Oh my God. But this was ridiculous. Like he was like running, hop, skip, and jump, woo, and just barely shook his hand. Then gets in the locker room after the game. And look, the cameras are on. The microphones are on. And he's dropping F-bombs, F the Packers, F them. Like, come on, man. It looked classless. You just won a huge game. You beat the Packers. That's all you have to say. And today, when asked about it at his Monday press conference, Ben Johnson said, I hate them. We're in the rivalry. And I hate them. And George McCaskey, my boss, the owner of the Bears, feels the same way. There is a way of shaking hands and at least showing some sportsmanship. And dropping the F-bombs in the locker. I know all coaches drop F-bombs. I know Campbell does it. But it's not at and directed toward an opponent. It was lowbrow and classless. Benedict Johnson has done a heel turn. When he was here, beloved, cute little guy, OC, he's gotten to Chicago, and he just acts like an ass sometimes. Just does. My God. And this weekend, I'm rooting for Stafford. Matthew, let's go, Matthew. Seriously. Rams and McVay, please put it to the Bears. And I loved that the Eagles lost to the Niners because I wanted the Rams. Last thing we want as Lions fans is Ben Johnson versus Matthew Stafford in the NFC Championship game. That's the last thing I want to see. As a Lions fan waiting on a Super Bowl appearance. So this weekend, let's get those Detroit Rams t-shirts back out. There's an old bit. Let's go. All right. Back again tomorrow with a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions, including a special guest. Have a great rest of your Monday, everybody.